Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Zihir Basho. In tonight's game plan, we catch up with former Blue Eagles Juami, Tiongson, Nico, Salva, and Bacon, Austria as we relive Ateneo's legendary 5-peat era in the UAAP basketball.
God, sakit nun. But we will also go inside the game with the Gilas Filipinas women head coach Pat Aquino, Afri Bernardino, Janine Ponteos, and Ella Fajardo as they prepare for the FIBA Women's Asia Cup. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. In the long history of UAAP basketball, championships will always hold a special place in the hearts of fans and school communities, no matter what era. Now, it takes something special to become a championship team, and it takes a lot more to build a dynasty. Joining us tonight to relive the legendary 5-peat title run of the Ateneo Blue Eagles, we have Juami, Tiongson, Nico, Salva, and Bacon, Austria. Gentlemen, welcome to the game.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so can I just say there's going to be a bit of bad feelings here kasi my entire stay of Lasal nanalo kayo ng championships. So, we're gonna go start off first with Bacon and Nico. Si Juami has a certain nickname that everyone is now rediscovering or that is Magic Tiongson. I need your permission first kasi gusto ko i-update na yung Magic Tiongson Sang-ayon ba kayo sa Clay Tiongson instead of Magic Tiongson, Nico?
To set the record straight.
Pwede.
Pero baka magalit si Juami, gusto niya raw Steph. Mayabang tong bata namin. Steph raw gusto niya.
Steph yan. Steph Curry of the PBA yan Yung sabi niya
Okay, sige. Alright.
Oy, sige niya yan
Alright, Juami.
Every screenshot.
Juami, every time you look back and then you think of yung 5-peat era ng Ateneo, do you still get goosebumps about that time in your life?
Of course. It was a special moment in my life. Being teammates with Bacon, Nico. Who could say na naging teammates nila si Bacon and Nico, diba? Not everyone could say that. Only me. So, I'm very appreciative na I got the opportunity to play alongside them.
Grabe. Alam mo, Juami, you're right. I think that's a special privilege. Pero I'm gonna leave Z here for the meantime. Kasi sa totoo lang, masakit talaga to para sa akin So Z, ikaw muna. Ikaw muna mag-interview dito.
Okay. Juami, I just wanted to ask, ano yung isang bagay na talagang goosebumps pa rin sa'yo when you remember your Ateneo days?
I guess I would say when we won against USC. Kasi yun lang talaga, during that time lang talaga ako nakalaro So, I would say when we won against USC, unforgettable moment yun. Especially when I stole the ball towards the end of the game.
Gotcha. For sure. Nako, ayun na nga si Pao umalis kasi alalang-alala din niya yun. Anyways, Bacon, how about you? Juniors pa lang, you were a champion, MVP pa, di ba? When you stepped in nung senior na, nung college na, did you know something special there was something special in your team na, oh my gosh, parang kaya to, 5-peat, kaya pa. Did you know something was going on?
Pagpasok ko ng Ateneo nung college, actually first year ko talo, si Nico yung naka-5 Mahirap dahil grabing competition at that time.
Correct.
I think Lasal was very strong at that time. Sila JV Casio, T.Y. Tang, Meyerhofer. Pero, tas talo kami that year. Pero I knew na parang Coach Norman was already bound to win a championship Parang padating na dun Parang every year they were building up the team, parang building up the chemistry of the team. Tapos, siguro yung first na feel namin na there could be more after yung first championship talaga. So, ayun.
Alam mo yung there could be more. Yan talaga yung nasasaktan ako But then, Nico, all right, guys, I'm back. Nico, looking back at yung history ng 5-peat ng Ateneo, obviously there's so many championships to choose from. Pero is there any championship in particular na special sa'yo? Like most special for you?
The most special was of course the 5th one because that sealed the 5-peat. But I think another championship that everyone would agree na gusto nila is the 3rd one the one in 2010, because we didn't have Raba, Noy there, we didn't have Greg and Keeper. We were counted out that year, and then we won the championship, and we were also underdogs coming into the finals. So I think that was the most surprising championship that we got.
Alam mo, that time, I remember that time, medyo underdogs kayo. I felt like we had a chance, but that probably wasn't true. But looking at yung rivalries ninyo, obviously the LaSalle Ateneo rivalry was big, but then they weren't the only contenders at that time. If you look at the history, Juami, are there any particular personal rivalries that you had on the floor with any player during your time?
Player, none. I don't think naman none. But sa team, I guess FU, because they always gave us a hard time. They played us physical. We always had to step up our game, and we always had to bring our best every time we played against FU.
So, bakit wala bang rival talaga si Juami? Or, feeling ko he's being nice eh. Oo.
Nico.
Hindi kasi, nakita yung picture niya, mukhang walang rival talaga sa picture mo.
Ang cute eh.
Nico naman kami, mababait kami na bata, kaya wala kaming kaaway.
Wow.
May rival sa teams, inside the team.
Oo. So, sa mga...
Nico at Bacon.
Pero bakit sa mga teams, so sinabi ni Juami, FEU daw yung that brings out a different atmosphere, a different feeling kapag kinakalaban sila. Ikaw, apart from LaSalle, because obviously that's already a given kapag LaSalle Ateneo, is there any other team that you felt that, special yung laban na to?
Yung last few years, nasabi ni Juami FU since kalaban namin last 2 championships ko when I was there. Pero for me personally, Adamson, because my dad was coaching it. Tapos sila yung nag-break nung sweep namin eh. We're going for a 14-0 run, tapos tinalo nila kami sa last game ng elimination. Tambak pa kami. So parang sila lang yung nakabasa ng how we run run our plays, how our system was. Pero I was hoping nga makalaban sila sa finals. Unfortunately, they lost also to FEU. Parang na-injure ata sila Alex Nuiles, and parang 2 players got injured sa semis. So I think Adamson was, for me personally, because it was against my dad. Tapos sila yung nakatalo sa amin when we were going for a 14-0.
All right, and for Nico, if your kid in the future asks you to describe your UAAP experience in a few words, what would you say?
Buakaw, yun. Pwede. Sinabi mo buakaw.
One word, buakaw.
Buakaw, pwede na.
But I would say,
Shoot, Nonix. Shoot!
to be, hindi sa pagyayabang, but undefeated. I could say, we could say undefeated.
Sasabihin ko yan, mayabang yan eh. Ano yan?
Confident daw.
Alright, but to be fair, it's true. It felt like they were undefeated almost every other. And they were undefeated a lot. And you know what? We're not done with these guys just yet, because after the break, our former Blue Eagle champions break down the evolution of the blue and white from one big 5 to the current generation of Ateneo basketball. Stay tuned. You're watching the game.
Welcome back to the game. We're still with the Ateneo Blue Eagles, Juami, Tiongson, Nico, Salva, and Bacon, Austria. After our throwback to the 5-feet era days earlier, let's now talk about the evolution of Ateneo basketball. All right, first up, Bacon. So you stayed close to Ateneo basketball even after graduating. So paano mo nakitang nag-evolve yung Ateneo program after Coach Norman Black to today's Blue Eagles under Coach Tab?
I think yung evolution niya, parang, hindi ko masasabing evolution, pero parang they stayed up there. Hindi rin sa pag-iabang, pero parang they continued everything.
Like
Tapos,
flow.
ang nakakatuwa doon is, nag-dip siya ng konti, pero they were able to grasp it and get back on top. And yung evolution, I think the style of play medyo different with Coach Tap and Coach Norman. Pero I think the goal stays the same, and they have been winning also the past few years. Sayang lang we stopped ng 2 years. Parang we didn't have UAAP. Pero parang the goals are the same, and I think they're on their way to try and match that 5 or trying to get more than the 5 we did before.
Well, Nico, so we were talking a bit about yung evolution ng Blue Eagle basketball from your time to today. If you look at yung common factors ng lahat, like what makes a Blue Eagle, the modern Blue Eagle?
I think the common factor would be the team is very disciplined. You would see that everybody is following the system. No one's really going out of the system. And pagiging defensive-minded ng team. Kasi if to compare it lang to other teams, you would see that other teams would rely more on one-on-one abilities, talent, and yung Ateneo teams would rely on teamwork.
Okay. I'm sure. Pero yes, no, that discipline was always there. That defensive mindset, I think that never went away. Even through the time of Coach Bo Persol, it felt like they still had that feistiness, and no matter what, they were always in the fight. But Z, you have something for Juami?
Yes, Wami, who are some of your favorite Blue Eagles to watch after your generation? Yung ngayon, sinong Blue Eagle to look out for?
Jolo Mendoza, Anton Asisio, Mike Nieto, to name a few, kasi they're very underrated. Parang they remind me of me na coming out of high school, hindi naman matunog talaga yung leagues namin. Pero given the opportunity, given the time, we can also produce, I think, the perfect example, now, it's showing kay Anton at saka kay Aaron Black. Given the time, I think they've been producing really well now in the PBA. So,
Okay.
sila siguro yung mga players to watch out for.
Of course, great names there. And then, of course, Baco, you mentioned that you already were part of the program for a very long time. In fact, you basically bleed blue. And but I want to put you on the spot here. So let's play a little fantasy basketball, okay? Yung 5-peat team nyo is arguably one of the best lineups in UAP history. This team in particular with Coach Tab Baldwin, especially the last one that won a championship, again, also very stacked. And then who knows if kung nagtuloy yung UAP, baka nag-4-peat na sila. Do you think though that this Ateneo team can take on that 5-peat team at their peak in a 7 games?
Tapos, meron kaming Nico Salva na shoot lang na shoot na hindi mahihiya pagka-clutch. So, I'm sure endgame di kami matatalo. We have Greg also. Kung
Greg.
yung fantasy, who can match up with Ange. I think the matchup is good. Pero syempre, hindi ko tatanggalin sarili ko sa lineup. Kasi masyado na maraming scorer Baka kulang yung bola. So ako na yung hindi shoot, di depensa na lang ako.
Nico, ikaw, agree ka doon?
Agree, of course. Let's
I'd say
Confident.
sweep kami. Sweep namin sila.
Sweep na sila!
Why not? Why not?
Sabi. Okay, sige. O, ito, Juami.
May step kami. May step tayo.
May step
Oo nga
tayo.
naman.
Oo.
Steph na ni Clay na
Sorry.
may
Steph
magic
Tiongson.
pa.
Oo.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, pero ito, Juami, that team, yung team nyo, yung 5-peat team nyo, or the 2002 team, si LA, Enrico Villanueva, Wesley Gonzalez, Larry Fonachero, Rich Alvarez. Oh.
Sino?
Game 7 yan, Game 7. I have so much respect for them.
Ayan.
Sila talaga yung pioneer. So, you can't say anything bad about them. Sila talaga. So, I'd say abot Game 7.
Grabe. Z, alam mo, safe answers yan eh. Kasi some of them are still in the PBA. Hanapin nila si Juami eh.
Delikado na, mahirap na.
But then, Nico, you look at the players that came out of Ateneo. A lot of them ended up in the PBA. A lot of them ended up having great careers outside of basketball and beyond that. Can you talk about yung impact ng Blue Eagle program from all of yung kasama nyo in general, even those who did not end up in basketball, even those who ended up in the pro levels, just how special was yung Blue Eagle experience nyo for the rest of your lives after Ateneo?
I think being in Ateneo in general, and also other colleges, I'm sure, just prepares you for the real life. It prepares you to face challenges, and also yung mga those who are in basketball, it gave us a very good platform in the UAAP, and being in a top school like Ateneo, winning championships. Of course, it will give you exposure, and then playing for Coach Norman, and then class organization led by our managers and sila MVP, just parang gave us a professional background. So after Ateneo, parang sanay na kami how to act like a professional. So it really helped a lot.
Grabe, that impact is incredible. And Z, I'm sure you had the same sentiments with Blue Eagle Volleyball as well. Again, thank you very much, Nico, Bacon, and Juami. We really appreciate your time. Let's not talk about the 5 feet for a very long time kasi hindi talaga kaya ng puso ko eh. Pero thank you guys. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
All right, when we return, we'll go inside the game with Gilas Filipinas women's head coach Pat Aquino, Alfred Bernardino, Janine Ponteos, and Ella Fajardo as they prepare for the FIBA Women's Asian Cup. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. Welcome back to the game. I'm Paulo de Rosario. Basketball never stops for the Philippines, and this time around, it's the ladies' turn to show the world what we've got. Our very own Gilas Filipinas women will be competing in Amman, Jordan from September 27 to October 3, headlining the roster are veterans Alfred Bernardino, Janine Pontejos, while big names come in the likes of Ella Fajardo and Camille Clarin. As our women's national team continues to prepare inside their bubble in Lipa, Batangas, Coach Pat Aquino and 3 of our prized players join our very own Billy Capistrano in this latest edition of Inside the Game.
Joining us on Inside the Game, we have head coach Pat Aquino, Alfred Bernardino, Janine Pontejos, and Ella Fajardo of the Gilas Filipinas women's basketball team. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the game.
Hi, Billy, and thank you for inviting us.
Hello po, good evening.
Yes, hello. Nice to see you guys. So, Coach, kamusta naman ang bubble training nyo sa Batangas? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, everybody's doing fine. We started last Monday. It's a little bit more adjustment period, but we're taking step and moving forward in preparation for the tournament.
And definitely exciting, to see you guys play again. I'm sure everybody missed you guys. And Coach, how excited are you naman for the roster that you have right now?
I'm very excited. Again, as I've said, this is the future of women's basketball. We have young ones and veterans coming together with April there and Janine and Ella, Camille Karin, and Christine Kayabyab also coming in. So I think the excitement is more of starting pa lang. So sabi ko, let's see what we can do when we play this tournament.
Now, speaking of the new ones who are entering the team, Ella, it is your first time representing the Philippines in 5-on-5 basketball. Now, how different is this feeling, especially now that you get to play alongside your ates?
It is such a surreal moment. I mean, it's always been a dream of mine ever since like the 6th grade, I think. Coach Pat, I remember, invited me to watch a Gilas practice, and he let me do the mini drills in the beginning and all that. But once they started playing and really going hardcore, that's when I'd sit out and just watch them. And I never expected that it would be this soon that Coach Pat had entrusted me to be on the team with my athletes like at the Frill, at the Janine, at the Chuck. Like I've looked up to them like literally my whole lives, and I've watched every single game of theirs. So to be representing my country and to be playing alongside with them is literally a dream come true.
We know you can ball. I mean, we've seen you play, so we're so excited for your seniors debut. Now, April, kayo naman yung mga veterano, ikaw at si Janine, ano naman yung advice na binibigay nyo sa mga batang
yung pwede namin gawin, and doon na kami didiskarte.
Now, Janine, given this, syempre sabi ko nga kanina, sobrang excited na yung mga fans mapanood kayo. So ano yung pinaka-aabangan namin sa inyo sa FIBA Women's Asian Cup?
Ayun nga po, bago lahat, halos bago din yung mga kasama namin. So parang mas nakaka-excite kaming panoorin kasi first time namin sila makakasama, first time nila kaming makakasama. So siguro excited din sila na maglaro din sa seniors division.
Again, we're so excited to watch all of you guys play. Now, Coach Pat, as I mentioned again, it's been almost 2 years since the last time you guys all got together. You're now in the bubble. And, more than that win-loss record, how can you measure success in this campaign?
Well, again, we just started, and success is having to play again. That's one thing for sure. Kasi sobrang tagal namin hindi nakakapaglaro yung mga girls. And siguro yung sinasabi natin puso, nandiyan na lahat yun. Just to represent our hindi makauwi. So dahil maraming punong bumagsak and then baha. So again, lot of challenges, but for sure, we'll give our best every time that we compete abroad.
And of course, kilala naman namin kayo, Coach Pat, and everything that your team does, you always come out on top, you always succeed, and that's why there's no doubt that you guys are going to do so well in this competition. Now, for the girls naman, what is your message to the aspiring Filipina basketball players na talagang hinahangaan kayo, look up to you guys for inspiration? Afra, let's start with you.
Siguro advice ko is patuloy nyo lang abutin yung mga pangarap nyo, and kung may gusto kayong gawin nyo lang habang bata pa kayo, improve yung sarili nyo, and especially huwag kakalimutan si God and family nyo, gawin yung motivations. Kahit na maraming tao nagda-down sa inyo, gamitin nyo na sa motivation din, na i-improve yung sarili mo. Hindi mo kailangan patunayan yung sarili mo sa ibang tao. Just prove yourself. Prove it to yourself na kaya mong gawin yung iniisip mo na gusto mong gawin.
How about ikaw, Janine? Message to all the aspiring Filipina basketball players.
Para sa akin po, sana pagpatuloy pa nila yung dream nila sa basketball, kasi malaking bagay yung basketball sa buhay nila, para makatulong sa family nila, at saka wag nilang kakalimutan na kung saan sila nagsimula.
And lastly, Ella, any advice or anything you want to share to those who look up to you, even at such an early age?
Yes, I'd say just trust in God, work on your faith, whatever you want to do in life, whether that be in sports or any type of passion Really just make sure that you do your part, you put in the work, especially the work that nobody else sees, like extra hours in the gym and so on, and let God do the rest, really. And to the youth, especially me at the Afril, at the Janine, we're doing everything that we can to give them more opportunities so that whatever they want to pursue, they're gonna have more exposure. They're gonna have more places to go to play a sport that they love. So just continue to work hard and just know that we're working even harder so that your hard work will pay off in the end.
Very well said. Ella, you guys are paving the way for future athletes to dream big and do amazing things in the future. Now, Coach Pat, syempre, I will not let this moment pass without asking you kung ano yung masasabi nyo about the recent success of Jack having signed with a Serbian team, and how proud are you of her? I know that, she treats you like a father and like a mentor talaga. So what can you say about that?
Yeah, I'm so proud of her. We always talk about what she's doing right now. I mean, sabi nga, this is the stepping stone for women's basketball here in the Philippines. She's the spark plug, sabi natin, the starter for everything, and hopefully, she becomes successful in everything that she do. So try to compete every day. I mean, no matter what happens, compete, and I know success will be following you, and I'm just proud of her. And hopefully, she can still. She told me, but hopefully she can come back and play for the national team more.
One day, Coach, babalik si Jack. Don't worry about a thing.
Yeah.
All right.
And that was Billy Capistrano with members of the Gilas women's team. Good luck, ladies, in your upcoming tournament. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I am Zihir Basho.
I'm Paulo De Rosario, and this has been The Game.
Meron ding milk snake at hog-nosed. May boa constrictor, reticulated python at Burmese python din. Bagay raw ang mga yan sa mga naiinip sa bahay dahil sa lockdown, pero hindi ganun katyagang mag-alaga ng pet.
Kasi low maintenance sila. As in, hindi mo kailangan ng malaking space, hindi mo sila kailangan ipasyal, hindi mo sila kailangan araw-araw hawakan. As in, for display purposes, at the same time, ang ganda, fascinating kasi mga colors nila.
Kwento nga ng manager ng shop, nagbumang bentahan ng ahas ngayong pandemic. Noon kasi, pumapalo lang ang kita nila sa 50 hanggang 100,000 piso kada buwan. Dumoble yan nitong pandemya. Sa umpisa lang parang nakakatakot, pero sa katagalan, maaaliw ka nga naman sa iba't ibang kulay at klase. So ito yung pinakamabenta sa kanila. Ito yung tinatawag na ball python, kasi hindi na daw ito lumalaki hanggang 4 to 5 feet lang daw. Naglalaro sa 5,000 hanggang 200,000 ang bawat ahas, depende sa species at morph. Medyo may kamahalan, pero tipid naman sa pagkain dahil twice a month lang daw sila kumain ng manok, rabbit o daga, na papalo lang sa 600 piso kada buwan. Paalala lang mga paps, huwag bumili ng ahas sa black market o sa mga tinatawag na poachers. Sila yung nanghuhuli sa wild o gubat. Bukod sa bawal sa batas, nakakasama rin sa ecosystem. Kaya dapat siguruhin na captive breed lang ang bibilhin at aprobado ng DENR. May payo rin si Joey sa nag-iisip mag-alaga ng ahas.
Lifetime commitment dahil lalaki at lalaki sila, so may enough supply tayo ng food.
Marami man ang takot sa ahas, marami ring nagmamahal sa kanila. Pwede pa rin naman matakot, pero wag po silang sasaktan. Mobile Journal, Matthew Perez po. Hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Aminado si Mark Heras na ilang members ng LGBTQ community ang nag-offer sa kanya ng tulong matapos lumutang ang issue ng kanyang pangungutang. Marami raw ang nag-direct message sa mga social media account ng aktor para mamigay ng tulong. Wala naman daw direktang indecent proposal pero ramdam ng aktor na dun din patungo ang mga alok. Iniisip na lang daw niya na maganda ang hangarin ng mga ito. Lumutang ang issue ng utang sa aktor matapos manong manghiram ng pera sa dating manager na
tumatagos sa 3 lungsod, Maynila, Pasay at Parañaque. Sa kahabaan nito ay matatagpuan ng si William Howard Taft. Hindi gaya ng mga malulupit na Amerikanong militar na opisyal na nauna sa kanya, sinubukan daw ni Taft na huwag tratuhin ang mga Pilipino bilang isang mas mababang lahi. Sa katunayan, si Taft ang may akda ng batas na naging pundasyon ng public education system ng Pilipinas at ninais sa bigyan ng sariling lupaing magsasaka ang mga Pinoy. 2 beses siyang tinanggihan ng alok ng noong US President Teddy Roosevelt na maging Supreme Court Chief Justice. At kahit na nung naging Secretary of War siya ng US government, ay pumayag lamang ito sa kondisyon na patuloy niyang tatapusin ang inumpisahang trabaho bilang gobernador ng Pilipinas. Tunay na dambuhala sa kasaysayan at sa totoong buhay, sa taas sa 6'2" at may timbang na 300 pounds. Ito si Taft, sakay ng kalabaw at hindi natin alam kung nagkabali-bali ba ang gulugod ng kawawang kalabaw. Siya nga pala mga paps, sa araw na to, September 15, taong 1857, ay isinilang si William Howard Taft. At yan ang headlines noon, history ngayon, may replay at tadhana dahil bilog ang balita. Balik sa iyo, Paps J.
Maraming salamat, Pops Lord. At yan po mga balita sa ating bansa ngayong araw, 15 ng Setyembre, mga Pops. Ako po si Jay Taruk. Para sa iba pang news updates, tumutok lang sa 1PH sa Signal TV, Channel 1. Live din kaming mapakikinggan sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM. Kami pong 1PH, teleserbisyo para sa Pilipino. Mga Pops, mag-mask, maghugas ng kamay, at maghingat po tayong lahat.
Ojo. Mayor, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Mayor Joy. Si Ed Lingao. Kasama po natin si Gretchen
Hi,
Ho.
Ed.
Hi, good
Hi,
evening.
Gretchen.
Good evening.
Mga kamusta lamang po kami kung ready na for tomorrow.
May concealer?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you'll ever be ready, but we'll see.
Anyway po, we're getting ready na. We're starting in a few minutes. Thank you po. Audio check
Okay.
lang po. Thank you.
it's okay, as long as yung ating contact tracing, yung ating is very credible, and well done yung ating contact tracing. But presently, parang kulang na kulang.
It will allow some areas to continue with economic activity while people are warned what is the level of the viral transmission at that particular locality.
We are still at war, and I know that the economy is an issue, but let us not waste whatever gains that we have sa pagmamadali natin.
And you just heard various voices from the country's health sector seemingly split on whether or not it's the right time to ease restrictions in Metro Manila.
Starting tomorrow, NCR will be placed under Alert Level 4 in the hopes of reviving the economy even as COVID-19 infections continue to surge. The new scheme will allow certain businesses to reopen at limited capacity. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Edwin Gao. You're watching The Big Story. We begin tonight with health experts expressing their concerns on the new alert level system that will be implemented in Metro Manila starting tomorrow.
Government officials, meanwhile, maintain their stance, saying that the move will be a boon to the economy. Greg Gregorio with The Big Story.
Medical experts have expressed concerns about the factors that will be considered in determining which alert level is appropriate for an area. The health department says that the COVID-19 transmission rate and hospital occupancy will be the basis for this. Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines Incorporated President Dr. Jose De Grano is worried that the country has yet to come up with reliable virus transmission data.
It's okay, as long as yung ating contact tracing, yung ating is very credible, and well done yung ating contact tracing. But presently, parang kulang na kulang.
PHAPI also notes that the healthcare and ICU utilization rates do not reflect the real situation on the ground. For one, data may show vacant beds for patients, but in reality, the hospital can no longer accommodate them due to manpower issues. Hospitals are also catering to patients from different LGUs.
Katulad ng Makati, ng Taguig, puno na puno lagi ang kanilang hospitals. Paano yung pag-overwhelming, di ba? So, level 5 sila or level 4 lagi.
MMDA Chairman Benher Abalos says that this matter has been discussed already by placing the entire Metro Manila under the same alert level. NTF Special Advisor Ted Darbosa tells The Big Story that a new scheme aims to strike a balance between health and economy.
It will allow some areas to continue with economic activity while people are warned what is the level of the viral transmission at that particular locality.
But for epidemiologist and NITAG member Dr. Consortia Lim Kizan, it is not yet the right time to put Metro Manila under an experimental lockdown.
We are still at war, and I know that the economy is an issue, but let us not waste whatever gains that we have sa pagmamadali natin.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
And let's consult the LGUs. Joining us tonight is Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte. Mayor Joy, thank you for joining us tonight and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you, Gretchen, and thank you for having me on the show. It is my pleasure.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor, well, to begin with po, kamusta po ang inyong preparations for tomorrow doon sa panibagong sistema na ina-adapt natin sa Metro Manila?
Well, naging maswerte lang po tayo dahil medyo maaga ngayon ibinigay ang mga guidelines na pertaining to the alert level system as well as the granular lockdown guidelines. And because of the two-day leeway, we were able to localize these guidelines, fill in some gaps. And today we were able to meet with our stakeholders and cascade these guidelines so that hopefully by tomorrow, all the stakeholders, including the barangays, the business sector, the private sector, the NGO sector are prepared for this new rollout.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, kagabi kausap namin si Dr. Consortia Lim, si Dr. Conky Lim ng NITAG. Ang concern niya is, among other things, paano yung implementation doon sa, for example, yung yung 10% lamang ang pwedeng dine-in at lahat sila dapat bakunado and all that. I suppose kasi sa LGU babagsak yung mga ganung mga enforcement. Marami-marami po yan.
Opo. So una sa lahat, nabanggit namin sa localized guidelines namin na kailangan may public health officer ang bawat establishment na ang trabaho lamang ng taong ito ay mag-check doon sa mga customers nila kung meron ng vaccination cards na may hawak, at kung may vaccination cards, pwede sila mag-dine-in. Kung wala naman, pwede sila doon sa alfresco section, assuming there is an alfresco section. And we have a team as well composed of various departments in our city na dati naman umiikot pero ngayon ay mas iikot pa, mas pinaigting pa natin na ang trabaho lamang ay makita kung talagang yung ating mga guidelines ay sinusundan ng maayos. No? So the burden obviously is now on the LGU.
Okay, ma'am, doon po sa granular lockdowns po, can you give us an idea muna kung ilan ngayon naka-granular lockdown and paano yung proseso ninyo ng pagdidesisyon kung aling mga lugar yung mag-granular? Is it the health office or is it the mayor's office?
Alam nyo, Ed, ang granular lockdowns ay hindi naman bago dito sa lungsod Quezon. Actually, 2 taon na po natin ito ginagawa dito. And at present, we have 51 lockdown areas. No? Bagamat masasabi ko na hindi pareho ang hindi exactly the same ang guidelines ng national government na ibinaba nila kamakailan lamang doon sa nakapaloob sa aming pong ordinansa. And that is because our granular lockdown system, which we call special concern lockdown, this started here in Quezon City given the size of our city, given the unique demographics of our city and our profile, and we decided this was one of the best ways to respond to the pandemic. No? Pero ang gumagawa po ng desisyon ay ang aming CESU, ang City Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit. Hindi po ito political decision. Ito po ay decision ng mga medical practitioners. At medyo na iba siya doon sa guidelines ng national government. Doon sa national government kasi very specific sila. Kung may 1 case, ito isasara. Kung 2 cases, ganito kadami ang floors, halimbawa ng isang building ang isasara. Sa amin, it's a case-to-case basis depending on the gravity of the situation. Depending halimbawa kung yung mga bahay ay dikit-dikit, kung yung mga tao ay densely packed in one area, kung yung mga tao ay may capability to observe social distancing and other minimum health standards. So ito po ang mga tinitignan natin batayan o criteria para mag-lockdown. And also we have a preemptive side to it. No? So hindi nangangailangan na may positive case. Minsan kapag nabalitaan namin na nagkaroon ng super spreader event like isang inuman o isang party sa isang lugar, we already preemptively lock down that area so that we can do extensive testing. So in all of our lockdown areas, kaakibat po ng lockdown ang extensive testing. Lahat po ng naka-lockdown na tao ay tinetest. Lahat po ay binibigyan ng ayuda. At ngayon po, nais namin i-resolbahin yung issue about yung mga no work, no pay na naka-lockdown. Meron na po kaming nilaan na pondo. It's called Kalinga para sa manggagawa. That is a financial assistance given to those who are receiving pay on a daily basis. No? Ngayon doon naman po sa may trabaho pero hindi pwedeng pumasok, the city itself or the barangay calls the employer and tells the employer that your employee is on lockdown, kindly not take him out of work. At meron naman po tayong mga DOLE guidelines to assist us in ensuring that our workers are protected.
Okay, yan ang gustong marinig ng maraming nanonood, di ba? Kung may ayuda. Maraming salamat po, Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte. Thank you, ma'am. The entire Metro Manila will be placed under Alert Level 4 starting tomorrow until the end of the month. What are the do's and the don'ts? Well, if you are a minor or a senior citizen age 65 and above, you are still not allowed to leave your homes. Same goes for persons with comorbidities and pregnant women. If you do not fall in any of these categories, then you are free to go outside. But even if you are allowed to leave your home, expect that some establishments will remain closed, and those include indoor tourist spots like museums. You may also want to do your workouts at home, as gyms and fitness studios will be remaining closed. Like in previous lockdowns, entertainment establishments and social gatherings are also prohibited under Alert Level 4. And you may also have to cancel that face-to-face meeting, as this is also not allowed. And of course, some establishments will also reopen their doors tomorrow. That includes restaurants, those that offer personal care services like barbershops and salons, as well as churches. If you are fully vaccinated, you are allowed to enjoy your meal indoors or sit inside the church or the salon as long as the venue has yet to reach its 10% capacity. If you have or if you have not yet gotten your vaccine, you may still be accommodated, but only outside the establishment where a 30% capacity is allowed. Also allowed under Alert Level 4 are inter- or intra-zonal travel, individual exercise outdoors, and attending or hosting necrological services.
These are the other big stories tonight. Under the new quarantine system in NCR, 2 COVID infections may merit a street or even a floor level in a condominium building to be put on lockdown. A counterterrorism expert believes Japan's warning of possible Islamist threats in the region holds water. He cited an attack of the Maute group weeks ago as a possible indicator of such plans. And if you haven't registered for the elections next year, you only have 2 weeks left. The Commission on Elections says voter registration will not be extended. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Preparations are in full swing for restaurants and personal care services that are set to restart operations tomorrow.
But they have one appeal to the government: be consistent in announcing future policy changes. JC Cosico with the story.
Employees of this salon in Mandaluyong City have started cleaning up for their reopening tomorrow. A sticker informing the public that employees have been fully vaccinated is placed at the entrance. COO Rolly Febrero said this gives an assurance that the establishment is safe.
Safety ng staff namin at the same time safety ng mga client namin para maprotektahan sila.
Under Alert Level 4, a 30% seating capacity is allowed for outdoor services, regardless of the vaccination status of customers, while 10% is the maximum capacity for services done indoors.
Masaya na rin naman kami doon. At least po mayroon tayong mayroong kakainin, nakakadagdag po ng survival ng mga staff.
The resumption of services will be of big help for salon employee RC Lopez. Lopez had to juggle 2 jobs at the same time when the salon stopped operating for more than a month.
Bantay ako ng sa karinderya, tapos nagsasideline din ako, nagbantay bata. Gumawa rin kaming paraan para at least makasurvive sa gutom namin.
Staff under facial and massage services though still have no lock, as operations of these are still not allowed under Alert Level 4. Meanwhile, restaurants have also started stocking up on food supplies. In this restaurant in Mandaluyong, a notice that only fully vaccinated individuals will be allowed inside is also placed near the entrance. Like salon personnel, restaurant owners are calling on the government to be consistent on its announcements and policy changes.
Para at least yung preparations din ho namin na at least doon sa mapapasukin namin, sa mga bibilihin ho namin na walang masisira at masasayang.
The Trade Department says about 150 to 200,000 individuals are expected to return to work once the pilot run begins. The new lockdown strategy is also seen to recover 180 million pesos in revenues per week. Alert Level 4 in Metro Manila will last until the end of the month. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
Along with the alert level system, granular lockdowns will also be implemented in the capital. But just how strict will this be? Metro Manila Council Chairman and Parañaque Mayor Edwin Olivares says a single COVID infection may result in a house or a floor level in a condominium building to be locked down. A street may also be shut if there are at least 2 COVID cases. During the first 7 days, the city government will provide food packs for those affected. The Social Welfare Department would shoulder the remaining days. Olivares says officials may also conduct surprise inspections.
Davao City will soon allow COVID patients to undergo home isolation as the city's hospitals remain overwhelmed more than ever. Jem Avancenia with the details.
Outside the Southern Philippines Medical Center in Davao City, ambulances occupied most of the road space. They've been carrying COVID-positive patients or those exhibiting symptoms, but they have nowhere to go. The city's main COVID hub is already full house. Over 600 COVID beds, 500 ward beds, and 100 intensive care units have been occupied for a week now. Most patients have yet to be vaccinated. SPMC staff have been working around the clock as they are short on personnel. Their emergency room is brimming with patients, so much so that queues stretch to the lobby, making it difficult to walk in and out of the hospital.
Napakarami talaga. Sakto lang na makadaan ng isang tao. Ang daming pasyenteng nakahilera.
The SPMC continues to extend their facilities, specifically their ICU and ward beds, to accommodate the increasing number of COVID-19 patients. Yesterday, 712 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded here in Davao City, bringing the total number of active cases to more than 9,000. With that, Davao government has allowed COVID patients to undergo home isolation. Mayor Sara Duterte had once dismissed the idea. It won't take effect just yet, as the city is still waiting for the health department's guidelines. Duterte Carpio said they are now mulling putting up an oxygen plant, as the city's oxygen supply is already running low.
Yung mga suppliers natin, base sa meeting namin, may isang ingredient ng oxygen na ubos na sa mga manufacturer. Kaya kailangan pa nilang hintayin iyon bago makapag-manufacture ulit.
For the meantime, some of the city's vaccination sites have started accepting walk-ins. The City Health Office said they should encourage more Davaoenos to get inoculated as soon as possible. For News 5, Jem Avancenia, we are One News.
For those who still have not registered as voters, you only have until the end of the month. The Commission on Elections is no longer making any extensions as they move forward to preparing for Election Day 2022. Mayan Los Baños with the story.
With just 15 days to go till the deadline, voters looking to register for the 2022 elections lined up early in the day at the COMELEC office in Quezon City. For them, every vote counts.
Sa nangyayari ngayon sa government natin, siguro it's time for a change na po. Maiboto yung mga dapat na nakaupo.
Kahit very early in the morning, pumila pa rin kami kasi one vote is very important.
Voters' registration ends September 30 and COMELEC says there won't be any extension. Lawmakers are appealing through filed resolutions to have it extended until October 31.
There are so many preparations na maapektuhan po, Madam Chair. We cannot compromise those other preparations kasi po because of also the pandemic situations, talagang medyo ipit na kami.
The COMELEC is already focusing on election day concerns, particularly the need for more voting precincts. The target is to have only 800 voters per precinct. This would require an additional 10,000 more vote counting machines or VCMs that would cost 1 billion pesos. Due to budget constraints, the poll body isn't sold on a 2-day voting schedule.
Ang magiging issue talaga namin dito is yung additional budget ng ating mga teachers, mga electoral boards. So, kasamaang palad, na-slash po yung budget ng ating mga teachers. We are still dependent on the budget given to us.
Instead, voting day may be extended by 5 hours.
Ayaw na ayaw talaga ng COMELEC at ng karamihan na maging 2 or 3 days itong botohan kasi nga tuwing palit ng shift, talagang may kababalagan na nangyayari. Baan na lang yung shift at yung oras ng pagboboto. Mag-umpisa ng napakaaga at matirang matibay hanggang gabi.
The COMELEC says 8 billion pesos is needed all in all to accommodate the adjustments in the next year's elections. COMELEC will have a simulation on Sunday to determine the number of extension hours needed for Election Day. As of today, there are already 62 million registered voters in the country. This is 3 million higher than COMELEC's original target of 59 million. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
For the big story in sports, in the PBA, the TNT Tropang Giga has clinched a twice-to-beat advantage in the quarterfinals after defeating the Northport Batangas 102-92. Kib Montalvo and Mikey Williams combined for 51 points, keeping the Tropang Giga on top of the standings with a 9-1 record. Northport, meanwhile, saw their 3-game streak end as they fall to a 4-4 win-loss card. For the second game, Barangay Ginebra escaped with a crucial victory over the Phoenix Fuel Masters 94-87. Stanley Pringle led Ginebra with 31 big points as the Gin Kings moved to 4-5 in the standings, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Meanwhile, a hefty incentive worth 1.5 million pesos awaits Filipino pole vaulter EJ Obiena for setting a new Asian and national record. Last Saturday, Obiena set a new meet record of 5.93 meters, eclipsing the previous Asian mark of 5.92 meters held by Kazakhstan's Igor Potapovich. The Philippine Sports Commission decided to give the reward after receiving confirmation from the World and Asian Athletics Federations. The PSC had already given Obiena 250,000 pesos for shattering the previous national record of 5.87 meters last June. Time for another quick break. More of the big stories when we return.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Southeast Asian countries are now monitoring any possible security threats following Japan's recent warning to its citizens.
While there is no clear information yet on the issue, an expert believes the warning has basis. Mobile journalist Stanley Gahete gives us a front seat to the story.
Japan threw 6 Southeast Asian countries into a frenzied security alert, sent warnings to its citizens to stay away from crowded areas and religious gatherings because of potential attacks from Islamist militants. In the Philippines, diplomatic and security officials were caught by surprise. Counter-terrorist expert Romel Banlawi, who has been watching developments in Mindanao, believed there was a credible threat.
Malakas naman yung intelligence agencies ng Japan at hindi magre-release ng Japan ng ganyang klaseng advisory nang walang solid basis.
Islamic State militants in the Middle East have strong linkages with like-minded extremist groups in the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Myanmar, and Thailand.
Yung Islamic State East Asia, may malaking relasyon yan sa Islamic State Khorasan kasi yan ang ginagamit ng ISIS Central na major conduit para i-finance yung mga terrorist activities sa Southeast Asia.
2 weeks ago, remnants of the Maute group had clashes with the army in Lanao del Sur. The Islamic State had acknowledged its fighters in Mindanao were responsible for the attack. Banlawi said these extremist groups could be planning suicide bombing.
Previous months also, nagkaroon ng mga arrests dito sa Metro Manila of Abu Sayyaf group personalities with the intention to mount terrorist bombings in the National Capital Region.
While there's no detailed information, the AFP said it has raised threat warning to moderate level.
Terrorism knows no border, no? But it doesn't mean we will let our guards down. We constantly monitor and be vigilant.
Islamist militant attacks are expected to increase as extremists around the world have been inspired by the swift victory of the Taliban in Afghanistan last month. What countries around the world need to do now is to stay vigilant. I am Stanley Gete and we are One News.
Apple has unveiled the iPhone 13 and a new iPad mini, expanding 5G connectivity and showing off faster chips and sharper cameras. For analysts, these are not blockbuster features, but should be enough to urge customers with older models to make an upgrade since prices are relatively the same. The iPhone 13 will have a new chip called the A15 Bionic that enables features like automatically translating text. The phone also has a better display, longer battery life, and a cinematic mode for automatically changing focus while taking videos. The phone will start at $699.
Pasig is taking a step further in developing a bike-friendly urban space in the country. It has formally opened the Capitolio intersection earlier today. The human-centered intersection would be the first ever protected bike lane spearheaded by a local government unit. It would also feature bike boxes. The boxes prioritize cyclists at intersections to allow them to get ahead of traffic and safely turn left. Motorists may not obstruct bike lanes and bike boxes, else they will be incurring penalties. Pasig City's Transport Office said there will be additional paint jobs and bike lane bollards in the coming days.
It's actually a very good idea kasi madalas problema ng mga siklista kung ano dito yung bike lane tapos
Paano
tatawid.
kaliliko?
Oo, sobrang delikado yun. And lalo na, actually isa pang delikado, yung kung yung bike lane mo, meron yung cemented. Usually, the bollards are better so that you can go in and out anytime there's an obstruction. So, you will only know that if you're a cyclist. So, I hope...
Tsaka marami kasing hindi bibigay para sa...
Tama!
Maraming ganun, ha? Whether you're talking about cars or motorcycles. In fact, I noticed nga maraming motor nasa bike lanes eh.
Oo.
Which is not supposed to be the case.
Yon. Dami pa natin kailangan matutunan pagdating sa cycling infrastructure and respect for mga cyclists.
Galit sa yung signature.
Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. On behalf of Robbie Lampay, I'm Edlin Gao.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.
Are you sleepy today? Are you...
Yung first dose, I felt really sleepy.
But it's nice sleepy, di ba? It's nice sleepy.
Yes.
Oo.
It actually forced me to sleep.
Of applicants.
Pwede sila mag-reserve eh. Magre-reserve sila ng slot para sa kliyente nila. Tapos pagdating sa araw ng appointment, pababago. Binibenta nila eh. Nandami na winawarn namin ng public eh.
The DFA is seeking Congress go signal for an additional 120 million peso budget to fund more passport service locations and hire additional personnel. Naomi Tiburcio, for the Nation.
The provincial government of Rizal is hoping its vaccine supply will increase following a visit from the NTF. This and other stories in tonight's National News Roundup by Denise Samonte.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque insisted that he has the experience and the qualifications to become a member of the International Law Commission in America. Roque said that for 30 years, human rights has advocacy, and he has also acted as legal counsel for those in need. Acting Cebu City Mayor Michael Rama explained the local government's no vaccine, no dine-in policy, which affords dine-in personal care privileges to vaccinated individuals only. The acting Cebu City Mayor said that the policy will help strike a balance between the city's economy and the health of their constituents. He appealed to the Department of the Interior and local government not to disallow the said policy. The provincial government of Rizal is hoping that after the recent visit of the National Task Force against COVID-19, the province's supply of COVID-19 vaccines will be increased. Many residents of the province already want to get vaccinated. However, because of short supply of vaccines, many of them have not been scheduled for vaccination yet. The Commission on Appointment approved the promotions of the AFP Chief and 40 other AFP officers. The AFP Chief Lieutenant General Jose Faustino Jr. was promoted 4-star general. All the promoted were Southern Luzon Command Major General Bartolome Bacaro, who was promoted to Lieutenant General, and Philippine Army Chief of Staff Brigadier General Roberto Capulong, who was promoted to Major General. Aside from the said AFP officers, more than 30 officers, mostly with the rank of colonel, were also promoted. Eunice Samonte for The Nation.
In news overseas, a Chinese province orders mass testing after COVID-19 resurfaces, while North Korea fires another missile, threatening peace and security in the east. The details of these stories, tonight's Foreign News Roundup by Meg Luna.
Medical workers in the southern Chinese city of Xiamen, Fujian province are taking swab samples from local residents. The mass testing was immediately launched as the province reported 50 new local transmitted COVID-19 cases on Wednesday. Schools in the city have been ordered closed in a race to curb another COVID-19 outbreak. 2 ballistic missiles have been confirmed fired by North Korea across its east coast. It is the second weapon test in recent days after the launch of a new long-range cruise missile. Japan's Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has called the launch outrageous, saying it threatened peace and security in the region. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said America will not lift existing sanctions on the Taliban, but it will ensure life-saving humanitarian aid to vulnerable individuals in Afghanistan. Blinken added the assistance will be sent through United Nations agencies and non-governmental organizations. The Taliban welcomed the assistance, but dismissed criticism from the United States about their new interim government. Meg Luna for The Nation.
9 Filipino artists advanced to the next round of the 2021 U.S. Open Pool Championship in Atlantic City, New Jersey, USA. Dennis Ocacolio led the Philippine squad after listing a 9-2 win against Paul Spanstra of the USA. Jeff De Luna and Johan Chua also edged out Americans Bill Meacham and Kelson Juan. Aside from the three, Carlo Biado, Warren Kiamco, Roland Garcia, James Aranas, Roberto Gomez, and Jeff Ignacio also registered impressive wins, advancing to the next round. Metro Manila mayors and the PNP are all set for the pilot implementation of granular lockdowns and the new COVID-19 alert level system in the area. Opta research says the COVID-19 reproduction rate in Metro Manila slightly slowed down this week to 1.34 from 1.39 7 days ago. The Commission audit clarifies that its audit report did not mention any overpricing in the procurement of pandemic supplies.
And tonight's food for thought comes from William Jefferson Clinton, an American politician who served as the 42nd President of the United States from 1993 to 2001. And he says, we all do better when we work together. Our differences do matter, but our common humanity matters more. Very wise words from a great person. I believe that we are all individuals and that we are unique, but sometimes we tend to take it a little bit too far by creating walls because of these differences. I think that when we shatter these stigmas, when we shatter these differences, we are able to build bridges and create a way to make a difference and an impact in the world, which is actually our main purpose. We're not just here to live for ourselves, but to create an impact and make the world a better place. Joey and Kathy.
Well, I just love that Clinton quote. It reminds me of another saying that goes, individually, we are just a drop, but together we are an ocean, which to me is a perfect visualization of the amount of power we can have if only we will learn to work together. Kathy.
I think for the present times, the most apt context of this quote is about the vaccination program. Many may not agree that vaccination is key, but because of our goal to achieve herd immunity and for the public good, we should all go out and vaccinate ourselves. And now, here's how our viewers in key areas of the country can enjoy the full digital clarity of People's Television. Watch this.
Mabuti na ang malinaw. Experience PTV in full digital clarity at mag-riskan na. Sa inyong digital TV box o set-top box, gamit ang remote control, pindutin ang menu. Pumunta sa settings. Piliin ang auto search at pindutin ang scan. Hintayin matapos ang scan at pindutin ang OK button. Hanapin ang PTV gamit ang up and down buttons at nood na. I-enjoy ang digital signal ng PTV sa mga piling lugar sa buong bansa. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, mag-email sa signalreception@ptni.gov.ph o bisitahin ang www.ptni.gov.ph/digitaltv.
So goes PTV News Tonight's roundup of tomorrow's headline stories. I'm Joey Gilas.
I'm Catherine Bital.
And I'm Sharms Espina. Join us again tomorrow here at PTV News Tonight.
Para ipakita ang tunay na estado ng ating bansa, ilahad ang mga pinakabagong balita at pangyayari sa ating bayan. Ipaalam sa taong bayan ang katotohanan at ipaliwanag ang mga hakbang na ginagawa ng pamahalaan upang manatiling payapa at maiangat ang pamumuhay ng bawat Pilipino. Mula sa Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, ito ang Talk to the People.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat, mga kababayan ko. Nandito na naman kami, pasunod sa salita ko na will make a report of our accomplishments in government at kung anong ginagawa namin. And maybe in this forum to explain some, baseless accusations, misconceptions and all the rail to remove our focus on the fundamental need now sa bayanihan at in implementasyon yan because of the COVID. We will discuss this because it is relevant to the answers that we will give to you. Pero una sa lahat, I'd like to introduce to you the workers of government who are here tonight, this morning. We have Director General Wilkins Villanueva of the PDEA, Deputy Director General Gregorio Pimentel, PDEA. And for the accomplishments of our government, we have Secretary Gregorio Nasan, who will report about his department. Then sa COVID-19 concerns, we have Secretary Duque, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., and Secretary Anyo of the DILG. Sa video conference natin, participants, we have Secretary Harry Roque, Director General Enrique Domingo of the FDA, Senator Carlo Alexi Nograles, the Cabinet Secretary, Chairman Benjamin Benhur Abalos of the MMDA, Secretary Salvador Panelo, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel. The other officials or workers were here, Secretary Medjaldina, Senator Bongo, Secretary Minardo Guevara of the Department of Justice, and Secretary Vivencio Dizon, the National Task Force COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer. Sa munahin ko na lang muna a few statements before Secretary Duque is that I'd like the people to know that we are studying the possibility of vaccinating the general adult population as early as October if there is a stable vaccine supply. Kung meron ng madagdag at kung kaya na ng ma-absorb ng gobyerno yung lahat ng tao na mapabakunahan, we will start with the basisino na, general public. Parang pumunta ka na doon at magpaturo ka kung hindi ka pa napaturo ng vaccine. Ang aming dito is always we have to keep equity in mind na dapat unahin na natin ang walang-wala mga mahirap. Alam mo kasi yung mga iba in the far-flung areas also of the country outside of Metro Manila, there are a lot of Filipinos waiting to be vaccinated. And so doon sa kanila in the respective jurisdictions, I would suggest that unahin muna ninyo yung mga mahirap. Those who cannot really afford to be traveling back and forth. As a matter of fact, it would be nice of government to go to their places. Total, alam naman natin yung blighted areas. Many of those ayaw o hindi o needs to be convinced that there is a vaccine available and that it is good for them. Ngayon, dito sa itong Senate hearing, we do not question the authority and the power of the Senate to investigate. In aid of legislation. Yan ang sinasabi nila. But alam mo kasi, nakita ko na pinapatawag ninyo almost so many persons and yet you're only able to put the resource person for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours at yung iba naghihintay na wala namang silbi. And yet the subpoenas are repeated every hearing at pinapatawag sila, and I think that most of the DOH officials in this morning's hearing were all there doing nothing. Alam mo, well, with due respect to the Senate this time, ilang beses ninyo pinapatawag yung mga cabinet members, especially Secretary Duque. And umabot na kayo from the purchase, the procurement, then down to itong Parmalin. Now you are branching out to COVID, not COVID, drugs issues. Mahirap yung ganun, panapatawag ninyo, pabalik-balik, tapos hindi naman ninyo na-utilize yung testimony. So, ganito ang proposal ko. I will require that the cabinet members invited to your hearings that he will clear the invitation with me. At kung tignan ko na pabalik-balik na lang with no other purpose except really to rumble on, to stretch the hearings because that is good for election until the election itself, okay man yan because you are entitled to your own strategy. Pero dito sa amin, because Secretary Duque has sometimes he has not been in control of the workings of DOH because he spends most of his time nandyan sa inyo. This time, I will require every cabinet member to clear with me any invitation. And if I think that he will be called for walang silbi except to harass, to be berated in front of the Republic, ay hintuin ko na yan at pagbawalan ko na. Now, may option kayo. You can cite the person in contempt, pero ako na magsabi na ako ang may utos na hindi mag-attend. So, that is, well, I think I can do it as president. Clearly, if there is an abuse of authority there or exceeding the authority of the reasonable time that Congress conducts a hearing, I will limit you to what you can do with the executive department of the government. Dito sa executive department, I am the head, so I would say, kung gusto ko, at nakita kong reasonable, go. Especially if it is really pursuant to the truth na hinahanap ninyo. Maganda yan. And I would suggest that you do it diretso-diretso. Sagasaan na ninyo yung sagasaan, yung Parmalin, pwede na nyo watak-watakin yan, that you do what you want. Kasi kami dito tapos na. I use the Bayanihan 1. Isa Bayanihan 1, kayo ang nagbigay ng authority ng executive department even to disregard the procurement law. Kayo mismo nandyan sa tapos ngayon sabi nyo you can take whatever measures for the fastest delivery of the things that we need. So yun ang ginagawa namin. Tapos ngayon, you are dwelling on the procurement law and asking the officials to explain of their actuations. Basta ako ganito. I ordered, hindi ko man alam kung sino, basta sabi ko, dalian mo kay Secretary Duque, Sabi ko, dalian mo, you do away with the, I said, there is a law somewhere about an exemption sa procurement law. Yung makabili ka na, especially gayang negotiated contract, nandyan sa batas mismo yun ang ginamit namin. Ngayon, nag-order kami, delivered, inspected, if it was really the order, the things that we ordered according to specifications, and it was, then we paid. We did not sell out anything before delivery. Para sa akin, tapos na kami. Yung parmalin ninyo, pati droga, bahala kayo. Wala akong pakialam yung parmalin. Gutos, anong tawag dito? Sa kumot-kumutin ng you can crumple parmalin. Wala kami pakialam dyan. Basta yung namin, ang pakialam namin, nag-order kami, dumating, tama yung nag-order, tapos ang presyo was negotiated. Now, meron kaming ilabas na all of these things were done in accordance with law, even the pricing. Ngayon, for the meantime, I would just like also to remind Senator Gordon na I will campaign against you for being unfit to be a senator of this republic. You are trying, well, others are trying to be a Chinese when they are not. And ikaw naman, you are trying to be an American na hindi ka naman talaga totoong Amerikano. Every time that there is a committee hearing, you subpoena more than 100 resource persons and witnesses. And then more than half of that number comes from the government. Instead of working, they are stuck attending hearings that last for more than 5 hours. Tama ba yung ginagawa ninyo? I mean, are you crazy? Bakit ganun ka? Can you not approximate the time that you take to make these persons testify, question and answer? Lalo na ikaw, Gordon, abogado ka. Ano ba kakalain mo? Nandiyan na yung medisina, ginagamit na namin. Para sa akin, tapos na ang trabaho. Yung parmalin na yan o droga, then we will talk about it. Hintay lang kayo. Yan ang ano ko. It's a waste of time. And I am ordering si Secretary Duque that the next time that he is invited, should clear the invitation to appear dito sa akin. And I will decide. Nasabi na ni Secretary Duque yung kaya niyang, ano pa ba ang gusto nila, pati yung kaluluwa ninyo atakin? Ito pa isa pa. I am surprised that one of the resource person, ang tragedy is that you are listening to him. And I do not understand why the Senate is listening to witness of the person of Asierto. Asierto was dismissed by the Ombudsman twice. First, for his role in the obvious 100 million peso deal with Werfast. So this was later reversed. He was finally dismissed for his role in the importation and selling of more than 1,000 AK-47 to the MPA rebels. Ito ang masakit sa akin. Kaya ako rin galit talaga kay Desierto. Among others, Dito ako napipika talaga. At paragi ko itong sinasabi na siya yung was one of those responsible for the importation. And ito napunta yung 1,000 doon sa NPA, anak ng. So ilang sundalo ko namatay dyan sa mga baril na yan. Gano'n na lang ang istorya natin. Yung kalukuhan mo. You are a fraud, actually. Tsaka yung sa Davao na raid ng laboratory doon, namatay 6 na foreign nationals. You managed to produce documents na pinalabas mo na iyo yun. Hindi mo alam, nandoon ako, buang. I was there. Well, I was called to go. So, it was the fiscal who called me na there is something, you better come here. So, nagpunta ako doon. At hindi kita nakita. Inaga mo sa mga tao ng PDEA, ng Davao, yung credit. Talagang yung nag-manufacture ka, you manufactured so many documents, falsified documents, and use it. You know, there is fabrication and there is such a thing as the use of false documents. Marapat ng grami ang pato mo, sigurado, pag buhay ako, talagang hanapin kita. Kasi sinira mo yung gusto mo siraan. Sinira mo yung bayan ko. You produce so many arms to kill my soldiers. Mainit talaga ako sa iyo. Totoo lang. Ano ba't ito? Ano ka bang na ano bang yung gusto mo talagang ito naman siyang Senate. Ito na yung totoo. If it is drugs, let it come from the mouth of the PDEA. Maybe I'd like to call si Wilkins, who used to be a police officer in Davao, then he transferred to PDEA. Now he is the Director General. Wilkins, can you go ahead and make huwag ka na ng mas para matibay ka naman eh. Ilang dekada mo na. And I'd like to tell you that Wilkins was a very good and outstanding police officer. Galing itong Davao, pero naglipat sa PDEA.
I am here, Mr. President, to talk about initially the clandestine laboratory operation that we conducted sometime on December 31, 2004. Ito, Mr. President, ang unang-unang laboratory sa kasaysayan ng drug law enforcement na na-dismantle habang gumagalaw ang lahat ng makina. In short, Mr. President, ito lang yung laboratory na napasok natin habang actual na nagmamanufacture ang chemist.
In the act
of the manufacturing dangerous drugs. And actually, this clandestine laboratory operation what became the case study in the United States sponsored International Law Enforcement Academy in Thailand. Itong clandestine laboratory na ito, sir, ang pinag-aaralan pag ang subject is clandestine laboratory. Itong Davao ito, sir. At I have been there when it was used as the case study of all law enforcement agencies throughout Southeast Asia.
You went to the United States?
United States, Mr. President, and Thailand sa International Law Enforcement Academy. So, permission to proceed, Mr. President.
You would.
The case study started sometime in 2002 when we came across with an information that a certain fugitive named Henry Tan. Henry Tan was escaped from PIDEA custody sometime in 2002. At nalaman namin that Henry Tan was cuddled by local personalities in Davao City, namely Joey Ko, Alex Ko, and Alan C. Alan C., if you can recall, Mr. President, is the operator of the Dumoy clandestine laboratory. Henry Tan is at large, Alex Ko is at large, Joey Ko is dead, and Alan C. is missing. So sometime in October 26, 2004, tinawagan po kami ng United States Drug Enforcement Administration na may parating na dalawang foreign national sa Davao City para manufacture ng dangerous drugs, escorted by 2 Filipinos. And this video, ito sir yung actual video surveillance video ng operatives ng Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency during that time. During that time, Mr. President, panay-PIDEA lang po ito. Walang AIDSOT po nakasama dito.
Ito yung pagdating nila sa Davao.
Ito yung pagdating nila sa Davao. Ito sir yung dalawang foreign national. Yan sir. Tapos dalawang Filipino.
So alam ng PIDEA na may dumating na dalawang mga chemist.
Yes, sir. As early as October 26, 2004. So, wala pa kami case operation noon, Mr. President. Ang operation lang namin, case operation plan lang namin is Yun Chowking, which is Henry Tan. So, hindi namin alam kung anong itong grupong padating. So, what we did is sinalubong namin sa airport itong dalawang foreign nationals by PIDEA operatives. Hanggang sa, Mr. President, ay umabot ito sa isang apartment somewhere in Obrero, a 7-door apartment na itong lugar na ito, Mr. President, is the same lugar kung saan naandun yung mga sinusurveillance namin doon kay Henry Tan, doon sa Copland Chowking.
Okay.
So in short, we thought na, sandali, natrabaho na natin ito. Ibig sabihin, itong dalawang foreign national chemist, trabaho nung mga drug personalities na sinusurveillance natin for so long. So in short, dudugtong lang ito, sir. So alam na namin, sir, ngayon kung saan mag-uumpisa at kung saan namin sila susundan. So 24/7 ito, sir. If you can remember, Mr. President, 2004, 2002 hanggang 2004, ito yung time na nag-aaway ang PIDEA at PNP. Nag-uungusan, sir, ang PIDEA at PNP during that time. Because ayaw tanggapin ng PNP na PIDEA is the lead agency. And during that time, Mr. President, yung mga nasa PIDEA, panay pulis din. So yung capability ng PIDEA during that time, talaga mahina. So what's happening is that na talagang nakaangat, sir, ang PNP. So, former Colonel Asierto was my classmate in PMA. Dating class 88 yan, sir, eh. Naging, the turn back, naging class 89. So, we talked. Ang sabi niya, Bok, merong personality kami dyan sa Davao. Before this, itong incident na sinalubong namin yung chemist, sige, sir, sabi ko, we collaborate. And let us show them na pwedeng magtulungan ang polis at PIDEA. So ito, sir, yung unang talagang joint operation ng PIDEA and police. So I informed him, Bok, meron dumating na incheck na dalawa sa Davao noong July 26, anong October 26. Immediately, sir, nagpadala siya ng tao. Members of SOU3. So yun yung nakasama ng mga tao natin, more than 35 na tao natin na pulis, at yung isang team niya, sir, sa SOU3 sa Davao. So nagtulungan, sir, kami. So later on, yung Copland Chowking naging Copland Case Operation Plan Crystal Gold. Ito na, sir, yung Copland for the laboratory. Dahil nakita na natin positive na merong dumating. So sinundan-sundan, sir, natin. Mr. President, ito yung mga drug personalities na naandun. Some of them are still at large. Henry Tan is still at large. Long Xie or Johnson Chua is still at large. Alex Ko is still at large, and others. So yan, sir, kahit hagilapin mo sa lahat yan, sir, walang Michael Yang dyan, sir. Kahit sa case operation ng Crystal Gold and case operation of White Crystal ng AIDSOT, walang Michael Yang dun, sir. Because we know the personalities. Nag-collaborate na, sir, kami dalawa eh. That is why I was really amazed and surprised bakit biglang nagkaroon siya ng kwento ang Dumoy Laboratory ng Michael Yang. So to continue, mahabang surveillance hanggang sa tuntun namin, sir, yung place ng laboratory sa Dumoy, Davao City, sa Turil, hanggang nakakuha kami ng different footages of what's inside the laboratory. Ito na yun, sir, that we came across sometime in December 3 of 2004. Yan ay mga lalagyan ng mga acetone and other essential chemicals. This is the water circulating multipurpose vacuum pump na ginagamit sa laboratory. Ito yung chest freezer. Ito, sir, nakapak pa to dahil hindi pa naumpisan eh. At ito pang iba't ibang machines na nakakahon pa, sir, until noong December 29, on one of our surveillance operation, we came across with itong actual cooking. Actually, prior to that, 3 days ago, sometime in December 26, nag-start na, sir, ng magbibili ng mga kaldero, ng mga sandok, si Alan C. So nasundan namin yun, sir, at nakikita namin, nag-uumpisa na. Until nung December 29, ito na, sir, yung footage na nakita natin doon sa laboratory. This is Alex Kim, one of those personalities. Ito, sir, si Alex Kim, and one of the foreign national na kasama ni Alex Kim. Ito sa mga namatay during that time. That was taken sometime on 5 o'clock in the morning of December 29. Immediately, we collaborated and decided mag-apply na tayo ng search warrant. Kitang-kita na to, Mr. President. And prior to this, nakita na rin natin na yung tao dito naglalatag na, sir, ng chloroephedrine, white substances sa sahig. And we believe, kala namin nagpapatuyo na sila, sir, ng shabu. But eventually, nung pinasok na namin, sir, it was chloroephedrine. One of the final stages sa paggawa, sir, ng shabu. So we were able to come up with the search warrant, and on December 31, nagbigay ng order to search si Honorable Judge Renato Fuentes ng RTC Branch 9, 11th Judicial Region noong December 29. At nakapag-joint operation po kami in fairness naman, sir, kay Jojo Asierto, na andun siya, sir, nung gabi during the time of the implementation of the search warrant. Pero, PDEA led ito, sir. Later on kasi, sir, ang lumabas, one of the grievance nung mga taga-Davao natin, local natin sa taga-Davao, Yung Davao group natin, sir, during that time is composed of PDEA na police, composed of PACER na police, and composed of those part ng Regional Intelligence Division ng Region PRO 11.
Wilkins, gusto ko malaman, anong opisina hinahawakan ni Yasierto that you have to collaborate with him?
HSOT na, sir.
HSOT.
Yes, sir.
PNP yan.
Yes, sir. HSOT na siya, sir. So, we conducted a joint operation. And during that time, naandun pa, sir, si General Dizon. Magkakasama kayo doon, sir, na talagang inilayo namin kayo ng konti noon, sir, dahil delikado, sir, ang actual clandestine laboratory operation. Dahil may hydrogenator ito, sir, eh. May tangke ng hydrogen na pag binaril mo, pwede sumabog yung buong laboratory. And during that time, there was firefight during that time.
Then I would like also to explain my presence because I was called by Fiscal Sepulveda na gusto niya na local officials doon.
Part of the Section 21 implementation, sir.
Yes.
So, ganun na nangyari. Nag-joint operation, sir. Naandun ka, sir. Naandun ang kasama mo yung mga media. Naandun si General Simeon Dizon. At naandun yung operating units coming from RIID ng Region 11, na PNP, PDEA, PACER, and HSOT. Lahat dun, sir, walang na-promote na taga Davao. Lahat ng HSOT, pati yung mga HSOT na hindi kasama dun sa operation na siya promoted using this operation. Kasi ito lang, sir, ang merong actual firefight, eh.
It was hijacked from you.
Exactly, sir. So, sa akin, anyway, later on, sir, kasi PDEA na ako, eh. So, I don't want to be promoted anymore. Anyway, director, sir, ang position ko, eh. But, naaawa, sir, ako dun sa nag-24/7 na mga pulis natin for 3 months, from October up to December. Walang na-promote kahit isa, sir, sa kanila. Yun, sir, ang hinanakit lang namin na taga Davao. While those people na kahit nasa opisina nila sa Krame, they were all promoted using this case operation. So ito, sir, yung Shabu Laboratory sa Davao City. You can just look at it. Fortified talaga, sir. Including a guardhouse dito na punong-puno, sir, na CCTV camera. Napasok, sir, natin yan. Ang main player natin dyan is taga PDEA, sir. And I was part of those who operated on that laboratory. So pinagpiestahan yan, sir, na taga Krame at taga PDEA. Ito, sir, yung nakita namin nung gabi na naglalatag sa sahig just to find out that it was chloroephedrine. One of the papunta na sa final stage ng cooking. Ayan ka, sir, kasama mo, sir, sila
Dizon,
Secretary Reyes, General Aglipay, General Dizon, General De Leon, at si General Abenido. So ito, sir, yung agana ng January 1. These are the part of the 76 kilos ready to be sold on the following day dapat. It is packed on a 5 kilo per plastic. Ito rin, sir, yung isa doon. While the rest of the methamphetamine was there for drying. Ito na, sir, yung double deck na, sir, yung dryer nila. And ang sabi, sir, ng chemist is high-grade class A methamphetamine po ito, Mr. President. These documents were exploited that led us to the discovery of clandestine laboratory in Cagayan de Oro City 2 months after. So ito, sir, yung isa sa mga warehouses. Ito naman, sir, yung sa Agdao, Davao City. And the other warehouse is in Obrero, another warehouse in Obrero. All of those are chemicals, controlled precursors and essential chemicals, Mr. President. Boxes of noodles, ang nakalagay dun dito sa truck pero ang nasa loob, sir, is hydrogenator. Ito, sir, yung pinakakailangan during that time sa paggawa ng shabu. Doon sa process na yun, sir. During the surveillance, one of the surveillance operations, we came also with a place in Bunawan, owned still by Alan C. Ito, sir, yung Polytex Industrial Corporation. Ito yung gumagawa, sir, ng foam. At doon namin, sir, nakita yung scrubber, air scrubber. Itong air scrubber ang ginagamit sa malalaking laboratory para maitago ang amoy ng baho ng laboratory. And this was supposed to be deployed in Cagayan de Oro City. During that time, it was mababa pa, sir, yung kilo na shabu, sir, during that time. And of all those instances, Mr. President, naandun ka. Sa lahat from the start up to the destruction of dangerous drugs and laboratory equipment. So, may mga personalities tayo. This is Johnson Chua, still at large as of now. This is Alan C. This is Joey Ko, kapatid, may-ari yan ng direct merchandise, Monteverde. This is Alex Ko. Kung makikita nito ng mga pulis, baka naandyan lang yan sa Binondo. Magtatago ito, sir. And this is Philip Lam. He was once a manhunt by defunct PAOK TF for drug trafficking. So ano ang allegation ni Police Senior Superintendent Asierto? Na si Michael Yang is involved sa clandestine laboratory ng Dumoy, Davao City. Yun, sir, yung ano niya according dun sa video message niya. Nothing in all those case operation plans that Michael Yang came up dun sa as part of the personalities dun sa both Crystal Gold ng PIDEA and White Crystal ng PNP. Again, ito po yung personalities. Wala po kayong makikitang Michael Yang dyan. And according to the record check na inilabas ng Directorate for Intelligence ng Philippine National Police sometime March 28, 2019, according to them, Alan Lim, whose picture together with the President and Michael Yang was presented to media by dismissed police officer Eduardo Asierto, who also drugged for involvement on illegal drug trade. However, he has no reported illegal drug activities based on record of the Directorate. Police Superintendent Asierto is a graduate of PMA Class 89. Nag-apply po siya nung nag-start ang PIDEA, pero hindi po siya tinanggap ng leadership ng PIDEA because accordingly, meron daw po silang derogatory record. That's according to PIDEA leadership. And he was assigned, since hindi siya tinanggap sa PIDEA, he was assigned to head the Philippine PNP AIDSOT under sa SOU 3. He was implicated together with members of the defunct AIDSOT SOU 3 and Director Ismael Fajardo, who was during that time their investigator. Police Senior Inspector pa po si Fajardo noon. In Senate inquiry on the magnetic lifter incident sometime in 2008. So Mr. President, ito po yung inilabas ng Rappler na picture yung tatlo ni Alan Lim at ni Michael Yang. Ito po yung according to revelation ni Police Senior Superintendent Asierto. Mr. President, we came across with a document and picture of kung saan nahuli, sir, si Wen Li Chen. Wen Li Chen, mamaya, sir, papasok tayo doon, was ginawa ito, si Wen Li Chen is nirelate nila into Alan Lim. Ito, sir, ang picture ni Wen Li Chen during the time na inaresto siya sa Cavite. Dito pa lang, sir, titignan mo, ang labo na, sir, ng itsura. Ang liit ng ilong ni Wenli Chen, ang laki ng ilong ni Alan Lim, eh.
Ginalawa nila itong si Alan Lim.
Gumawa ng istorya, sir, na si Wenli Chen is Alan Lim. But initially, hindi pa namin, sir, inano ito dahil baka ibang Wenli Chen yung sinasabi. Ito na, sir. We came across with a document coming from SOU-3 Intelligence and Investigation Teams led by SP Police Inspector Lito Perote. Lito Perote is tao, sir, ni Asyerto. Now, ito, sir, ang nilabas niya. Ito, sir, yung bail bond picture ni Wenli Chen. At ito yung picture ni Alan Lim. Tingnan nyo, sir, ang ginawa ni Lito Perote. Name, Wenli Chen, aka Alan Lim. So, pinag-combine niya, sir, si Wenli Chen at Alan Lim into a singular person. Now, analyze natin, sir. Kasi si Wenli Chen, nilagyan pa niya, leader ng drug trafficking syndicate si Wenli Chen. Pwede, sir. The issuing court is Cavite RTC Branch 18. Dismissed for non-observance of Section 21. So, na-dismiss ito, sir. Ito yung picture niya during nung nakapag-bail siya, sir. Let's analyze, sir. Kasi pag hindi ka investigador, hindi mo makikita ito. Without a keen eye of an investigator, hindi mo, sir, makikita ang diferensya ng dalawa. But tinakil namin ito, sir, sa International Law Academy. Wenli Chen and Alan Lim. Tingnan natin, sir, yung ilong ni Wenli Chen at yung ilong ni Alan Lim. Ang laki ng diferensya, sir. Ito, sir, yung ilong niya nakataas. Ito, sir, kay Alan Lim, yung ilong niya nakababa. Yung ilong ni Alan Lim, malapad. Yung ilong ni Wenli Chen, makitid. Without looking at the different, may mga tinitingnan kasi sa tester tayo, eh. Mata, tenga, ilong, bibig. Without looking at it, pwedeng lokohin, sir, kahit sino. Imagine, again, ulitin natin, sir. Imagine coming up with initial profile of drug personality at ipagkukombine mo yung dalawang tao into a single personality. Mabigat yun, sir. Mabigat yun, sir. Dito pa lang, sir, makikita mo, may motibo na sila. May motibo na yung grupo ni Asyerto dito. On what motive, we don't know. But, itong history kasi nitong mga grupo na to, sir, gagawa na ng kwento itong personality na hindi drug personality, tas kikidnapin.
Itong kay Michael Yang, tinignan ko yung intelligence, lahat ng intelligence input, puro galing kay Asyerto lang. Kaya sabi ko, nagduda dito, kasi taga Davao to, 20 years na ito sa negosyo sa Davao. He's setting, mama na kasi, alam mo, mura kasi ang Chinese goods. Kasi, bakit ganito? So, sabi ko, sineset up. So, I started to, marami man akong kaibigang pulis rin, sinabi nila itong karakter ni Asyerto. He was a kidnapper and he had so many kidnappings in his record. Pero pagkatapos ng bigay ng ransom, pinapatay nila. Kaya sabi ko, itong Lim na ito, sineset up nila. Kasi ang mga negosyo niya, yung bulto-bulto na container hanggang ngayon, today. Yun ang culprit din talaga in this story. Itong punto na ito, lahat dito, it's Asyerto na yung ipoprogram ng isang tao na mayaman, tapos kung hindi magbigay, kikidnapin, tapos ransom na. Kaya maraming in-check noon na nawala. Kawawa ba yung pumunta dito to do business, tapos hindi na narinig.
So, Mr. President, I believe, ito sir, lumabas itong video niya. Actually, recycled na ito. Dati pa ito lumabas sometime 2018 eh. Itong video niya. This was after na nagtago na siya. Dahil, ang precursor nito sir is yung Senate Blue Ribbon investigation doon sa magnetic lifter na about 11 billion worth of dangerous drugs. So, he was recommended for lifestyle check, including Director Ismael Fajardo, who was during that time Deputy Director General for Administration ng PIDEA. So, ang mga, it is a 46-page Senate Committee report at lumalabas dito, sir, na out of the 14 senators, lumalabas, sir, na they tagged, according to the committee report, they tagged Asierto as the linchpin in all these events, who facilitated the entry of magnetic lifters that contain billion worth of shabu. So ito na, sir, nagtago na siya dito. After that, naglabas na siya, sir, ng video. Nagpa-interview na siya, naglabas na siya, sir, ng video.
Kita mo naman, ha? Tingnan mo itong utak ni Gordon. Pati yung Senado mismo. Yung tao, they recommended indictment of these persons. Ito si Fajardo, pati ito si Asierto. And yet now, because it's convenient for them, sabi mo nga yung disparate move nila, tinawag nilang to give credence to the theory now that started with the procurement of, they rumbled onto so many things, calling persons that's criminal, alam nila, sila pa ang nag-recommend ng prosecution, ginagamit nila ngayon. Hindi ko maintindihan itong mga senador na to. But anyway, there will be time for reckoning. But you know, I would like to just I plead for fairness sa mga tao na tinatawag ninyo. Kasi pagka ganon ang style ninyo, lahat ng taga-gobyerno, sabihin ko, wag na kayo magpunta dyan sa Senate, then it would be a rocks thing. Ipa-aresto ninyo. At sabihin ko naman, wag ninyong arestuhin. Wag kayong maniwala sa Senate. Ay anong mangyari? Ako, nag-warning lang ako. Kasi, so kagaya nito, in a previous hearing, you recommended for the indictment of this criminal police officer. And now you are using them as a connection with the drugs, procurement of drugs. Ang ginamit pa ninyo, you are questioning, kayo ang nagbigay sa bayanihan, one, to disregard procurement law and come up with as fast as you can the things that are needed of the frontliners to protect them. Yan ang... You have something to say? Mayroon ka bang sabihin?
Yes, so, he was charged under RTC National Capital Region Branch 35 on April 11, 2019. And subsequently, an arrest warrant, alias order of arrest, was given, released on August 14 of 2019. So, Senior Superintendent Asierto is a wanted person. He was recommended and indicted. So, I believe can he be a credible person? On 2018, nung inilabas niya ito, Mr. President, wala namang pumansin dun sa statement niya. Walang pumansin sa video niya. It's only now na lumalabas ulit ito. Same lang, sir. Hindi naman natin sinagot during that time dahil wala naman pumapansin. So, Mr. President, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. According to Bible, John 8, chapter 8, verse 7.
Believe us.
That's all, Mr. President.
Alam mo, there's only one thing I can say this. Ito si Asierto Patinos Fajardo, wala talagang credibility. Now, Gordo now is in a bind. Paano siya lalabas nito? Because I will say it publicly, Gordon has forever lost his credibility in cahoots with criminals and yung fabricated stories. You know, Senator, you're a lawyer, you pretend to be, wala man ako nakita, nag-trial ka. Spent most of your time doon sa Subic na hindi ka na pinansin ni Ramos, habol ka pa ng habol. Kawala mo namang that's the kind of person you are. That's why I said, you deserve the company of Asierto and Fajardo, and I will leave you at that. I will, ito, malaman na ng buong Pilipinas. So, Wilkins, Colonel, nag-retire ka rin, Colonel?
General na sir ako ngayon. General na sir ako, director pa sir.
Both of you are generals already, si Greg. So, to find generals of the Republic of the Philippines. Believe ako sa inyo. So, to thank you for telling the truth, and you can stay if you want, because we will hear Senator Ronasan and then their report. Basta patihag siya lang hanggang, kasi gabi naman, basta isang report lang. Pakinggan natin yung banon ninyo. Kapwa ninyo, Mayor.
Mr. President, before I proceed with my presentation, matapos po, with the permission of our colleagues, may I just raise a few issues?
Go ahead.
Without being answered, I don't
go ahead,
want to, it does not merit a reply because this is an open hearing. I put this with your permission, Mr. President, at the doorstep of Sina Wilkins, no, Sina Greg. Habang nag-lecture kanina, nag-present kanina si Wilkins, kami ho rito, yung mga PMA, parang we felt very uncomfortable. Dahil PMA graduate itong bata natin eh. Pero just like any production line, siyempre may lalabas din dyan na factory defect. That's one issue. That's a reality. Kahit na sir sa yung mga pari, sa seminaryo, hindi man lahat nagiging pari. May lumalabas. By the way, sir, as a matter of information, tinanong ko dun sa mga ex-seminaryan, ano yung pinakamahirap sa vows na sundin? Yung poverty, celibacy, and obedience. Akala ko, sir, yung celibacy. Hindi pala, sir, obedience. Because it goes against the sin of pride. Pag yung nag-uutos sa'yo, kumbinsido ka na mas bobo kaysa sa'yo, hirap na hirap yung kalooban mo na sumunod. So, obedience pala, sir.
True, it's true.
But going back, sir, to the issue of Mr. Asierto, I think, sir, it will serve the public interest if we are able to find out kung sino ang handler ni Acerto. Or if he is a free agent. Kung hindi natin, sir, may I address Wilkins? Kung hindi natin matumbok yung Wilkins, ang grabe na damage sa public interest is pag kinukonsente si Acerto. Yung sinabi ninyo, sir, na why are we giving him airtime in a public hearing? Ang mapansin niyo, sir, if you look at my own record when I was in another branch of government, hindi ako masyado nag-attend ng hearing unless ako ang chairman, no? Because as a rule, as a matter of personal rule, I am not really inclined to expose our strengths and weaknesses in a public hearing to temporary friends and foes. Parang binulat-lat natin kung saan tayo malakas at kung saan tayo mahina to our temporary friends and enemies. And I think this is the issue with Mr. Acerto. Pinakikita natin, forgive the vocabulary, kung gaano tayo kagago paminsan-minsan. Yan, sir, konsintihin natin sa Senado. I will not go into personalities because yung iba naman dito, sir, mga kaibigan naman natin. Ayun lang, panahon ng eleksyon, di kailangan mong pakita visibility and audibility. We don't fault them for that. But at the expense of national security and public interest, parang kami, sir, ng mga dating sundalo dito, parang, sir, nagpapatayan tayo only to end up like this. One guy, factory defect, will destroy the security of this country. And China will not look too kindly on us. Yari na naman tayo, sir. Sayang, sir, sayang lang. Dahil when you are in term, pag patapos na, sir, kayo ng term ninyo, ang pinag-uusapan namin palagi is what will happen after your tour of duty. What will happen to continuity, to sustainability, to policy predictability. Yun lang naman, sir, gusto kong ilabas dahil bihira naman tayo, sir, magkita-kita.
Yes, sir.
So,
I understand. Thank you,
after
sir.
Wilkins' presentation, sir, baka antukin lang kayo sa presentation. May I proceed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, mga kapwa, ang instruction sa amin, sir, is to talk in plain language. So, I will comply. Mr. President, mga kapwa lingkod bayan, mga kababayan na nakatulong ngayong araw, magandang araw sa inyo. This is our first slide. Connectivity po ang issue dito sa inyong Department of Information and Communications Technology, which is a technical support department and which has some regulatory functions. Ito pong connectivity, yung access to data and information, is now classified as a right. Parang concept, food, clothing, shelter, education, health services, and then access to data, information. Yun, sir, ang connectivity. Yun, sir, nung i-assign ninyo kami 2.5 years ago, napakaliwanag, sir. Hindi nyo, sir, ako in-assign dahil techie ako. Ang telepono ko, sir, magugulat kayo, analog pa eh. Pero hindi ko masyadong pinagsasabi, sir, baka mapilitan kayong tanggalin ako sa pwesto, mag-resign ako. Sabi nyo, sir, connectivity, ang mission ng DICT under your watch. Connect our government to other governments, domestic and global. Government to business para balancing natin, sir, the health issues, the economic issues, the political and social issues, and the security issues. So connect government to other governments, domestic and global, whatever it takes, cellphone, internet, laptop, computer. Yun, sir, ang technical aspects nito. Connect your government to business para may economic activity. Connect government to the citizens and everybody to each other. Tapos, sir, hindi pa kayo na kontento doon. Sabi nyo, you do this faster. Efficient. Mabilis, sir, ang signal. Magbayad ka man. Cheaper if not free. Kaya, sir, may free wifi tayo ho. And in a more secure manner. Yung hawak, sir, ni Cesar Mangkaw. the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center. We have a good team there, sir. Ngayon po, gusto namin, sir, with your permission, our colleagues, ibahagi ang mga programa ng inyong DICT para makamit itong connectivity at yung digital transformation ng bansa. Slide 2, please. Ang pagpapataas ng internet speed ay isa sa mga kasama dito sa connectivity. Alinsunod sa panawagan ng ating Pangulo sa industriya ng telecommunications na pagandahin ang serbisyo nito para papunta na tayo sa new normal dahil may pandemic tayo. Slide 3, please. Mr. President, mga kasama, so nagtaguyod tayo ng mga reforma para mas bumuti ang serbisyo at isa rito yung pagpasok ng DICT Department Circular number 008, Series of 2020 na nagpapahintulot sa mga telco na mag-collocate. Dati-dati kasi, sir, mga kasama, bawat telco may kanya-kanyang tower. Isang tore, isang telco. Sabi nyo, sir, gawing mabilis, no? Gawing mura kung hindi libre. So naglagay ho tayo ng common tower pala. Isang tore, magsama-sama yung lahat ng telco dyan, bahala na kayo mag-usap. Pero huwag niyong singilin yung subscriber na mahirap lang ang buhay, singilin pa ninyo, wala pang signal. Pero sir, pag nag-interview sa 6 o'clock news, kumusta yung internet service? Yun nga, nagbabayad ako pero walang signal. Ito sir, yung work from home. Yung study from home. Ma'am, sir, nagbabayad kami, hindi pa rin ako makaral, walang signal. Pero nagbabayad kami. Isang reason yan, sir, is kanya-kanyang tore. 15 million, sir, ang pagpatayo ng isang tore. So, saan mo kunin, bawiin yung 15 million mo? Singilin mo yung subscriber. So, sabi namin, sir, lahat ng telco, magsama-sama sa isang tore, bala na kayo mag-offset, magsingilan. Pero, wag nyo, utos ni Presidente, wag nyo singilin yung subscriber. So, sumusunod na sila, sir. Magbuhat nung sabihin ninyo na pag hindi sila sumunod, bitayin nyo sa tower. Di, sir, sunod sila. Naglabas din, sir, ang DICT, kasama yung ibang ahensya ng Joint Memorandum Circular number 1, Series of 2020, para mapabilis ang proseso ng pagtayo ng tore, sir. Dati, sir, sa kasalukuyan, sir, 16 days na lang. Nagsimula tayo, sir, nung ilagay nyo kami rito to manage the whole thing, 214 days, sir. Ang kailangan bago mo makuha yung permit para magtayo ka ng tower. From 214 days, 16 days na. Noong 2019, sir, pumasok ang dito telecommunity bilang pangatlong major telco. Pareho, sir, ang objective nila, magbigay ng mabilis na internet sa mas mababang halaga. Pagpasok nila sa industriya, sabi nyo, sir, dagdagan, more competition, more players, the net effect is more efficient service, mumura, pabagsakan na sila ng pressure. So, sir, yung Globe at Smart nag-react. So, nag-roll out na sila para pagbutihin yung serbisyo. Nagko-cooperate na, sir. Dati kasi, sir, ang pakikialam lang ng gobyerno, pagbibigay ng frequency. Ang ginawa, sir, ng mga telco, hindi naman nila kasalanan dahil yun lang ang mandato ng National Telecommunications Commission, magbigay ng frequency. Ang ginawa, sir, ng mga telco, dalawa man yan nung una, sir, ginamit, sir, yung iba. Binenta yung iba. Yung iba. Pagpasok natin, sir, sabi namin, yung hindi ginagamit, ibalik. Yung binenta, sabi nyo kung kanino nyo binenta, dahil bawal yan eh. The frequencies are state property. Bawal ibenta yan. So that we can redistribute the frequencies to the other players. Mas maraming player, i-distribute natin yung frequencies, rationalized. May spectrum management policy tayo ngayon na equitable ang distribution. By the way, sir, akala natin 3 lang yan telco. 40 yan, sir. Dalawa man, sir, ang Dennis Oy. Dennis Oy ng dito at Dennis Oy ng Converge. Maliit-liit, sir, yung Converge. Pero siya ngayon, sir, ang nag-iipon ng maliliit para lumaki sila at patas ang laban. Yun, sir, ang
Is this the oy ng ano, Pampanga?
Opo, sir. Opo. Converge, mga kasama. Ito si Dennis Oy ng Converge. Mabilis, sir, ito, ah. Ang backer nito, Amerikano rin. Pero fiber naman sila, sir. Nasa Visayas na sila at nasa Mindanao. Ang ginawa namin, sir, dahil wala tayong pera, sabi namin, isa lang ang request namin sa inyo. Sabi sa amin, Presidente, ibigay nyo sa amin yung mapa ninyo kung nasa na kayo. Nasa na kayo? Nasa Visayas, Mindanao, nasa middle mile o last mile, para alam namin kung saan kami kakabit. Para hindi na kami magastos. Hindi na natin ulitin yung ginawa na ninyo. Okay naman, sir. Mapayag naman. Okay. So, yung Globe at Smart, sir, nag-roll out na. Slide 4, please. Sir, nilagay din natin yung Telecom Tower Watch upang mabantayan ang pagsunod sa mga bagong regulasyon natin para sa pagtayo ng mga tore. Ito, dagdag ito sa transparency, but I'll cut through it, sir, para we'll save time. Slide 5, please. Ayon, sir, sa datos mula sa National Telecommunications Commission or NTC, noong July 2021, as of July, nakapaglatag na tayo, sir, ng 980,000 kilometers ng fiber. Globe, Smart at dito. Yung tatlo pa lang yun, sir. Hindi pa natin binibilang yung maliliit na nagko-combine na ngayon. Meron na rin tayong 25,313 na mga tore. By the way, sir, ang tore ngayon, hindi na, sir, yung parang pag pinakita ang picture ng tower, sir, parang yung tore ng kuryente na nakikita natin sa mga picture. Mababa na ng konti ngayon, sir. Mga 20 feet ang height. Kaya, sir, ang 400 km per hour na hangin. Pag gusto mong i-disassemble at i-assemble ulit sa ibang lugar, it will take you 2 weeks. Mabilis, sir. Nagko-combine na. Sa Valenzuela, sir, pinuntahan na natin yung una. Ang gumagawa nito, sir, sa ngayon, yung common tower na, magsama-sama na, yung dito, yung third telco natin. It's only a matter of time before they start using the same platform, no? All the telecommunications company. Mayroon na rin tayo, sir, 25,313 na tower. Ngayon, sir, kumpara sa 16,051 noong December 2017. Ang Dito Telecom, yung pinakabago, sir, ay nakapagtayo na since we gave them Congress gave them the franchise. 3,000 na tower, sir, ang tinayo nila. Dahil binigyan na sila, sir, ng tinatawag na CPCN, Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity. Ang ibig sabihin, sir, is kailangan talaga. So may annual growth rate na rin tayo, 43.54% para sa fiber cable build-up. Pero lahat ito, sir, puro technical na. So I'll try to abbreviate it, sir. Dahil sa patuloy na pagdami ng mga tore at fiber, bumili, sir, na ang internet speed. Yes, sir, parang si Wilkins, sir, no? Sa mga bata natin sa PIDEA. Paano ko alam ito? Paano, sir, tinesting ko ito personally? Punta ko sa iba-ibang lugar, pati testingin. Of course, sir, pag matsambahan, yung nagbabayad, hindi walang serbisyo, we have to accept that as reality. Pero kung pag-uusapan, sir, efficiency, yung sinabi nyo, faster, cheaper, if not free, wala tayo doon, sir, sa bottom, wala pa tayo doon sa itaas. But we are getting there. Gitna na tayo, sir. Slide 6, please. Sir, noong August 2021, 800% na ang increase natin sa average speed nung hindi gumagalaw, sir, na internet. 300%. Ang bilis, sir, 300%. Sa average speed nung mobile, yung gumagalaw, sir. Ayon sa datos ng isang international na nagre-rate sa telecommunication services. That's global, sir, no? So this is unassailable. Hindi ito para paboran tayo, para ipakita lang, sir, na under your watch, we made some improvements. Hindi naman tayo zero, sir. Mahirap, sir, gawin ito. But, alam mo, sir, pag tama yung ginawa natin, wala, tamime. Pero pag magkamali ka ng konti, perahin ka talaga ng gusto. But that's life naman, sir. And I think I'm not the one to tell you about this. Sir, slides, please. Ang average, sir, na fixed broadband download speed ngayon ay 72.56 megabits per second. Technical na naman ito, sir. Mahirap ipaliwanag sa mga kababayan natin. Ito, sir, itong speed na ito, para just for comparison, itong 72.56 megabits per second, nagsimula tayo, sir, sa 7.91 megabits per second noong 2016. Ngayon, sir, 76.56. Internet download speed naman, nitong August, umabot na, sir, sa 33.77. I'm just giving numbers, sir, para malaman natin saan tayo nagsimula. So, nasa 33.77 na tayo ngayon, nagsimula tayo, sir, sa 7.44 noong July 2016. So, we are complying, sir, with your marching orders. Yan, hindi yan, sir, madilay. Slide 7, please. Nakatuon ang DICT sa pagbuo ng mga infrastructures. No? Pinaigting ng DICT ang National Broadband Program para makabuo ng isang broadband network para sa dekalidad at abot-kayang internet. Hindi na natin hintayin yung mga telco na maglatag ng mga fiber. Tayo na, sir, ang gumagawa nito. Of course, sir, hindi kami nagreklamo sa budget. That emanates from Congress, no? Example, sir, budget hearing the other day sa House. I mean, this is a common experience from your line departments. Humingi kami ng 34 billion. Balak nila bigyan kami ng 9 billion. Kulang, sir, yun sa isang region. Pero, sanay naman tayo, sir, sa wala. Ito, buti nga, sir, meron pa. But I will explain that later, sir. Isa sa mga proyekto na napapaloob sa National Broadband Program ay yung Government Network Project. Dito, sir, sa GovNet, which is to streamline government operations through connectivity, digitizing, 892 na, sir, na ahensya ang kasama dito. Konektado na sa pamagitan ng fiber optic cable. At layunin namin, sir, na ikonekta ang dagdag na 200 na ahensya bago matapos ang 2021. Noong December 2020, ang DICT ay nakapag-ugayan sa basis conversion. Katabi ko, sir, si Vince o BCDA para sa National Fiber Backbone Phase 1. Ito ay panimula ng pagbibigay ng mas mabilis na internet sa mga lugar sa Luzon. Yan, sir, ito yung maglanding sa Baler, tatawid, papunta dun sa Poro Point. Itong pagtawid, sir, kabit-kabit na tayo. I remember, sir, a few months ago, you called us because of Facebook. Sabi namin, sir, wag na kayo magalit. Negosyo lang yan. Negosyo lang yan, sir. Walang politika dyan. Pero pagpasok nila sa teritoryo natin, singilin natin sila. Ano libre? Kami, bawat galaw namin, sigil kayo. Pasok kayo sa teritoryo namin. Huwag niyong politikohin itong broadband. Ang problema yan. So, landing kayo sa Baler, tawid kayo up to Poro Point. Pagtawid, sir, di ba? Baler, Amerikano. Galing sa West Coast nila. Pagtawid, naghihintay naman dun sa kabila yung Japan at yung China. Huwag na natin politikahin. Basta i-connect natin. Kita naman kayo dyan, eh. Alam ninyo yan. Huwag tayo maglukuhan. Nakipag kami, sir, sa BCDA para sa National Fiber Backbone Phase. Mas mabilis sa Luzon, sir. Ang DICT ay maglalatag ng resiliency route bilang pangalawang linya ng internet connection na mag-ugnay sa metro cities tulad ng Metro Manila, Luzon, sir, Metro Cebu, at Metro Davao. My dear, sir, Metro Davao, we're not doing this for anybody's benefit. Akalain nila, bakit? Davao na naman.